This week I built an end table that matches our modern farmhouse collection. Over the last month or so, I've been slowly upgrading our living room with new occasional tables, and I built a console table and a coffee table. And a lot of other people have also building this collection, so there's a lot of us out there with half a living room set. So this week I'm going to build an end table, get the plans out there so we can all get our living rooms finished. So right now I'm just working on the design, and I'll show you what I got. Making it about 2 feet tall, about 2 foot square, and I'll keep the same kind of width 1x10 as the coffee table, but I really want to add a drawer, so and do that here. If you wanted to add a drawer to the coffee table, you could kind of use the same steps that I'm doing for the end table to put a drawer in your coffee table as well. So I'm going to head down to the garage and get working on this project. So this is all the material that I need for the basic end table. The 1x10 is for the top of the tabletop and the shelf. The 1x4s are the trim around it. The 2x4s are the legs. But I'll need some 1x2s to create a drawer box, some 1/4 inch plywood for the bottom of the drawer, and then some 18-inch drawer slides as well to create that drawer. Okay. So one trick is to make sure that your edges are nice and square. And this one is just a tiny bit off, so I'm going to go ahead and chop it with my saw. Got a nice square edge to start with. There's my waist. We're going to join these two together like this, and I'm going to go ahead and use my pocket hole jig for those. I have bigger and fancier jigs, but this one is so ridiculously easy to use that I'm just going to use it. So those are my pocket holes right there. And I can just start attaching them together. The reason I think this kit is so awesome is it's all together. So like the bit is right there for driving the screws too. It even comes with some screws. Why not? So the only thing you really need with this kit is a clamp. Actually, I'm lying. You don't even need the clamp. So if you don't have a clamp, what you can do is this connects here. I'll just show you how this works. Wait, I'm all backwards. It goes like this, and then since this is the back side of the work surface, you can drop a screw in there, and in there. Those 2 screws, you don't have to fully tighten them, just put them in a tiny bit, and that will hold it in place. And then just pull those screws out. So if you don't have a clamp, or you're in a spot where you can't use a clamp, they thought of that too. But a clamp is definitely a good thing. You can set yourself up with a clamping system. 2-second tabletop. Looks pretty good to me. Okay, so wanted to do this in kind of steps so that I can get everything right, because these are 1x10s and they should be 9¼ inches wide, but they can shrink, so it could be 9⅛, or they can expand, or they can, the milk stock could have been just a little bit off. So I wanted to kind of do this in steps where I build a tabletop, then I take this measurement, which is 18.5, which is exactly what I want, and then I cut my lumber force to get that. All right, so those are the two ends, and now I'm going to cut these guys. So this will be the bottom of the end table, and I'm going to go ahead and repeat that exact sequence, but I'm going to leave the front off. So this is going to be the top of the end table, but I'm going to leave off the front for now because we're going to insert a drawer into here later. So now I'm going to start working on the legs. So I'm going to use 2x4s to make the legs. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do now is attach this in like that. So I want to get these legs locked in right here, and this needs to be supported. So I'm just going to cut some 1x4s for these and nail them on. Quarter should be right. So this is the kind of the top, and the drawer will ride in there. So now I'm going to work on putting the bottom shelf in. It's all upside down at this point. That's not bad. So I'm just using a square to make sure I'm testing this angle as square it is. So I'm going to use screws just because it'll be a little bit better of a joint, and I'll just go ahead and screw those through here. I'm just going to use pocket hole screws because that's what I'm already using for the tabletop. Got a couple of those on hand. I'm going to start working on the drawer on the end table. The reason that I was kind of iffy about putting a drawer in the coffee table and this one too is you got so little clearance here. Your drawer could really only be like a 1x2 on the side. But in this situation, that's okay because it's really just going to store remotes, maybe like a pen and a pad of paper or something, but nothing big will be in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some 1x2s here, and I'll cut these to the length of my drawer slides, which is 18 inches. I'll cut 2 of those, and then I'll cut the front ones, and then the 1/4 inch plywood on the bottom. Get this drawer built. So I got these pieces all cut and laid out and everything's good, but since I want to nail and glue the sides together, I want to get my piece of 1/4 inch plywood that goes on the bottom ready so I can, before the glue sets, I can put that 1/4 inch plywood on the bottom and that will square up my drawer. I'm going to go ahead and cut that right now. So I'm going to cut this little chunk out with my circular saw. You probably noticed I do have a table saw over there that I could use, but the problem is it's really hard to cut like this size of a piece out of a full sheet. So you almost have to cut it down in size or you're going to waste a lot. I don't want to rip all the way down and waste this whole sheet. So what I'm going to do is use my circular saw. I'll set it for a little bit more than the thickness of the plywood and then just cut right on top of the styrofoam and get the piece out. Now my cut isn't going to be perfect, so when I go to place this on the drawer, I'm going to use this edge to square things up, not my cut edge. This is my factory edge on the plywood. We know that's 100% square, so I'm going to line that up with this edge first and nail it down. That's okay if it's a little bit long there. Okay, there's a little bit of a nail out here, but you can see, so I got to take care of this nail. Don't worry about that right now. But see how this isn't square? We know the plywood is square, but the drawer box isn't square, so I got to tweak it until it is. As long as we're following this plywood edge, we'll be good. Okay, so we know this drawer is square because we know the plywood's square and it's attached to it, so it will go in just like this. Now it's time to install the drawer slides. So I'm using these. They're sometimes called Euro drawer slides. They're bottom corner mount, and I feel like they're the most forgiving of the drawer slides, and they're the least expensive. So for a project like this, they're perfect. Ones with the big pieces, those are the cabinet members. So that leaves you with 2 left. So how these go is pick your drawer, the front of your drawer, and they go flush to the front, wheels to the back. So everything is flush to the front, but on these the wheels are in the back. Just like that. Drawer sliding really good, so now I just gotta cut a 1x4 drawer place and screw that on. So I'm just gonna cut this just a hair small so it closes good. Okay, so now I'm gonna pull the drawer open and add some screws from the back. All done building the end table. I'm going to go ahead and stain it up to match the coffee table and get this thing finished. Another easy build this week. I can see why the modern farmhouse collection has been so popular, because you don't need a lot of tools, you don't need to be a professional woodworker, but you can get a beautiful end table for, I'm going to take a guess, but probably about $40 to $50 to build this. One thing I will say is the drawer. I'm not sure it was worth what you got out of it, because the drawer ended up being so shallow, and the drawer slides were like $8 a piece, and then building the whole drawer box added a lot of complexity to the build. So unless you're an expert builder, I'm going to recommend not putting the drawer in. But otherwise, I feel like this turned out really well. We've had a lot of people ask where I get these brackets, and you can just get them in a 4-pack at Home Depot, and they're about $3.50 for a 4-pack. So if you add the brackets, it adds about $7 in materials. Please add a brag post so we can see how your project turned out, or you can tag me on Instagram or Facebook. Thanks so much for watching this week, and we'll see you next Monday.